guy who has some background in political forecasting and so forth. And he knew what would be needed. He kind of went, let me design what I think would be needed in order to succeed with widespread election fraud. And after he did that, he went, now let me see if the pieces that I know are necessary are built into the system. They should not be. And he was amazed when he found, after looking at the files, that the pieces were built in to commit very large-scale fraud using a feature that had been very little known before.
And you have this amazing video on your site. You've also just published it. How America's elections are hacked, missing link, discovered. Top election fraud expert Bev Harris exposes electronic voting machines. This is a big, big deal. So let's take some time out and walk through this amazing discovery.
Sure. Well, you know, the thing that he thought was needed, which I didn't really understand until I met him and actually started putting together this video. He said the one thing you need, the key element, is you need to have the votes counted as fractions. You need the votes to be counted with decimal places, like you count money. You have to have not just, if a vote is $1, you also have to have cents on the end of it. It's like 16,000.31, right? Why do you need, now that will not show, it's hidden, but you need that because, and he said, you know, there's one thing you don't know, you can't know before the election, and that's how many people will show up at each polling place in each precinct. So if you start doing things like I'm going to do every third vote, I'm going to add 100 votes here, you're not going to be very precise. Instead, you need to do what in finance they call an allocation. You say, whatever number of people show up, the guy is going to get X percent of those votes, whatever they are. Now, think about this. If you have 100 votes, and you say, my guy's going to get 43%, that's 43 votes. But if you have 99 people show up, what's going to happen? You're going to end up with 42 point something, something, something votes. So if your system is not capable of counting votes with decimals, it can't do that allocation. And so what he did was, he knew that that's how it would have to be done, and it would have to be very specific down to the precinct level. So he actually went looking and said, let me see. The databases can be configured any way you want, and they should be configured and used to be configured to count each vote as a whole number. It's called counting it as an integer, a whole integer. So he went in and looked and said, let me see. It should count it as a whole integer, and sure enough, they had changed the setting in all of the voting machines in America. This is the master computers. This is not the machines out in the precincts. This is the master computers that control all the voting machines.
Bev, this is incredible. And again, time and time again, you and your researchers tirelessly around the country have exposed the different ways they're doing it. And so I guess as a top fraud investigator, you're able to reverse engineer, okay, if we are going to steal it, how will we do it? Let's look for this. And then sure enough, you've caught them dialing in remotely.
It's amazing. Yeah. In other words, anybody could sit there and go, well, this looks like a vulnerability, theoretically. This is not a theory. This is real. This is something that was put into the system. They actually changed the setting. We can actually go back and figure out now that we know it, exactly the date that the setting was changed, and that it migrated to all the other manufacturers in the U.S. So now, at this point, votes, the setting is in there to be able to allocate votes by percent in basically 99% of the votes in the U.S. Now, what that means is that, and then he went on, and he basically proved it. He said, now that I know that's in there, I think I can allocate the votes. And it is stunning when you see the demo.
Let's be clear. You're filing this in the voting software. You go in. It's this algorithm or system to be able to basically program it to show the outcome you want by shaving votes. I mean, a lay person who's not an expert like you or a top computer programmer, what's happening?
Yeah, and think about this. You've got all these different precincts. It's been so hard to watch TV knowing what I know and watch them up there getting it completely wrong. And you see these people on TV saying, well, including so-called experts which I'm so disgusted with at this point, right? Well, it couldn't be done because the blah, 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 blah. Now, this can be done by one or a couple of people across whole jurisdictions. I actually didn't want to write the story unless I was absolutely sure. So not only did I see him do it, but I had him show me how it was done. And I took some vote databases, real vote databases that I have. One of them was the entire state of Alaska, the vote database from the 2004 election. I was able to change every precinct in the state of Alaska in 4 seconds.
Whoa. Beth Harris is our guest, top election fraud expert. The woman behind, of course, exposing 2004, 2000, 2008, 2012. It's been certified in multiple states that fraud was taking place. The lady behind the top documentary out there, All Election Fraud, Hacking Democracy with HBO, and in live time with the computer experts. They are manipulating and changing the votes. If you're a radio listener, it's on